what do you guys think about that? That's a good one. Is it spiritual to make money as a psychic medium or a tarot reader?
I think that's an
I think,
important question. Oh,
yeah.
go ahead, Michelle. You go
Oh,
ahead.
no, you go first. You go ahead.
Thank you. I was going to say, I think it's an important question because I have seen just over the years people who, oh, if you really want to help, then you would have it, you would do it for free, or your prices are too high, or something like that. And, when you think about it, there are various ways that even with religions or
Mm-hmm.
religious organizations, they make money as well. It's just in a different way. It's called a donation. Or
Hmm.
a tithe or something like that,
Exactly.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
if you are doing this, as a tarot reader and you're doing this as a real business, not just on the side whenever you feel like it, um, you are this is your business.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's come up for me, that I don't, read tarot yet, but I want to learn it, but there's so many
Hmm.
things that are on my plate right now. But one of the things for me is that a tarot reader is really a life coach. If you
Yes.
think
Mm-hmm.
about it that way, because I know there's also that argument about pricing and, oh, I'm not going to make enough money if I just do
Yeah.
$30 readings or something, or $5, whatever it is. But I said, well, maybe you need to think of yourself as a life coach because that's what you're really doing, you know.
Yeah. And
Uh,
typically life coaches charge at least what a licensed massage therapist charges, or a
Yeah.
psychic counselor, at least, minimum $150 per hour. And
right.
your readings might not be that long, but my rule of thumb is when I started, it was about $1 a minute. So a 60-minute reading was $60. I mean,
Yeah.
today that is cheap.
Yes.
Um, you go on the psychic lines, they're charging 4.95 a minute, 6.95 a minute. Yeah, there's some free minutes thrown in there, but they're charging, five, six, seven, some $9 a minute. And the reason for that is a big chunk of that goes to the platform you're using, right?
Correct. Right. Right.
But in general, if I had to put a number on it, uh, some years back, I noticed that things had changed. And, it doesn't matter the product or service. We have a 3.5 to 4% increase per year. It kind of comes out to, I think what I remember hearing is everything doubles in cost every 12 years. So
Hmm.
that's generally a rule of thumb, so some, we've been doing this for decades and decades. So like after we started the guild, we just had our 20th anniversary. We're in our 21st year, almost 20 and a half years, basically. So a decade goes by or so, and I noticed that the average had gone from $1 to $2.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, now another decade's gone by, it's $3 bare minimum. So if you're doing a 20-minute reading, you should be charging $60.
Yeah.
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 Definitely.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Dax,
And
I've had the pleasure of having one of your readings, and you do a lot. I remember the
the
numerology, the
numerology, the
yeah,
tarot.
your personal numerology, and you add a lot to
Thanks
your
for that.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the
I have
thing.
never had one. I've never had a reading from Dax, not a
Oh,
full blown one yet.
Oh, we'll have to do that just for fun.
I
But
know, right?
yeah, and vice versa.
Yes.
Because
Ooh.
because Michelle does numerology reports. I would love to see what you actually said and whether she screws it up. Uh, in in a numerology report for me. No, I'm just kidding. I certified her. I know she knows how to do it. But no, it'd be fun just to see what you say and then pull cards. And that's typically how I do my readings. And I'm adding value. We were talking about pricing
hmm
by, I can just do a tarot reading, sure. But if I do your numerology and calculate your entire chart, put that in a report, email that to you even before we get,
Yeah.
on Zoom to do the reading. Last week was doing online readings, how to do them, and we talked about Zoom. And before you even get on Zoom with them, they can go through all that. And a lot of times it'll, bring up new questions. It'll answer questions they were going to ask the tarot. And so now we can ask new questions because they have new
Right.
ideas, new directions to go in. It really adds value. It only takes a little bit of your time to do it, but you can charge more. You could also charge more by billing yourself as a not a tarot reader, but a tarot coach or a tarot life coach, or an NLP coach that uses tarot, things like that. You can charge more. And if you think about it, you're really shooting yourself in the foot by charging for $30 readings, $40 readings.
Mhm.
Not only you, but the entire industry.
Right.
I don't care if you're a dentist or a plumber, a counselor, it doesn't matter what it is. This race to the bottom, what it does is it just turns a service into a commodity.
Right.
And that's not what you want, unless you can crank out a lot of those widgets, which when it's a one-on-one session, you can't do that. Now, yes, you can morph into group readings. That's
Mhm.
another clue there, where you can drop your rates back down to, instead of charging $150, you charge $50, but you get 10 people on a group call. That's $500. And it's the exact same amount of time that you're
Mm.
putting into it. But in general, most readings and most sessions, and you're trying to help somebody, life coaching, neurolinguistics, hypnotherapy, it's one on one. So you want to charge a lot because, first of all, that is the real value. If you're changing somebody's life, it's worth more than $30, folks.
It
If you
really
give
is.
if you give a business owner an idea that he or she implements in their business, and their bottom line, gross receipts goes up by, say, $100,000, what's that worth? Well, the typical in the industry, whether you're talking about marketing, cost of marketing or cost of consulting, is approximately 10% of what you're, because if I bump you up $100,000, isn't that worth 10 grand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm not
Yes.
saying, charge 10 grand, although there are people charging ridiculous amounts of money for services.
Yes.
Especially life coaches. There's $5,000, $10,000 packages, $20,000, $30,000 packages.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not saying that, but think of it this way. You increase your prices. What does that mean? Okay, I can make the same amount of money in that much less time. So
Mhm.
if I want to make $300 and I'm charging $100, I need to see 3 clients. If I'm charging $30, I need to see 10 clients.
Yes.
That's a lot.
That's a
But
lot.
there's another factor, and we need to do a whole new show, a whole nother show on pricing your services. We do that every, quarter or so,
Yeah.
because it's so important and people don't realize what to do and what they should be doing. But
I
there's
I
not.
think it I think it also speaks to when you think about what is it, 3 versus 10 clients.
Mhm.
Um, you also have to do a lot of preparation. Like, people don't see that. They think, "Oh, you
Mhm.
just take a deck of cards and you pull out something and you give a
That's what
reading."
we're talking about on Sunday. Tune in, folks.
Right, exactly. Like, there's real preparation. If you're a good tarot reader, there's a lot of preparation that goes behind that, and that's
Yes.
a lot of, so you're talking about, even if it's 10 clients, an hour for the reading, probably a good,
Mhm.
hour to a 30 minutes preparation beforehand is
Mhm.
in addition to. So you're talking about 20 hours of work,
Yeah,
potentially 20 hours of work. That's a
but
lot.
there's another aspect to it. The more you charge, the higher quality of client you get.
That's true.
That is true.
If you're
That
charging
is
20
true.
bucks at a psychic fair, it's a oh shoot, it just popped out of my head the word I was going to use. There's a word for that where it's just a frivolous thing, but there's a word specifically like in carnivals and such, where it's a not a commodity. I said commodity earlier. I can't
Yeah, it's
I can't think of the word. There's a word for it where it goes from a valuable service that they're getting, to this, for fun, frivolous thing.
yeah.
And
Oof.
not that there's anything wrong with that. And if you want to go do psychic fairs and in-person things like that, and we have the Fourth Avenue Street Fair here in Tucson, why not?
Yeah.
Make a little money on the side and have a good time. It's just for fun. But to do it as a business, you need to
Yeah.
be charging more money. You need to be getting higher quality of clients, people that have a vested interest in transformation or reaching their goals or whatever you're helping them with.
Right.
In clinical hypnotherapy, I remember uh, I've taken many hypnotherapy and NLP courses over the last 20 years, and almost all of them say it. In fact, I also took a uh, quitting smoking specialist course certification, and they all tell you, the instructors, you got to be charging a minimum $500.
Mm,
And I
yeah.
know therapists, hypnotherapists that charge $3,000.
Are we talking about our favorite one, Steve Jones? He's probably charging more now because he was on a reality show.
Steve charges $10,000 a session. He doesn't even
Yeah.
want to do sessions,
Yeah.
But Michael Stevenson, that from Transform Destiny, that
Yeah.
by the way, I secured a special price on the course. If you want to take the same NLP, hypnosis, life coaching, EFT course that I took, time techniques, it's a course where you get 5 certifications. It's got everything in it. Get a hold of me. I'll get you the link.
What's
Um,
what's his name again? Steve Jefferson?
uh,
Oh,
Michael Stevenson, and because of Steve Jones, I always get them screwed up because Steve is part of Michael's last name, Stevenson.
Yeah.
And I got his course 10 years, 9 years ago is when I took his course. I call it the everything course. It's billed as NLP, but he has a whole separate course section of it on success coaching and life coaching, emotional freedom techniques, EFT, hypnosis, plus the NLP. You can do it as home study, or you can go to one of their live events. It's all the same price. You get the ticket if you want to do it at home, and then you decide, oh, you know what, I want to go to Philadelphia or LA or Las Vegas, wherever they're holding it.
mhm.
You can go to one of their pre-scheduled live ones to get your certification. You can do the certification by videotaping yourself through all these things.
Oh, wow.
But
Yeah.
it's easier just to go to one of the live ones because you do all of the practice sessions and everything there. They have a whole group of people evaluating you, and then you just get your certificate right after. So contact me about that. It's the best thing on the market, best value. I mean, you don't have to take all these separate modalities, separate courses, each one costing thousands and thousands of dollars. It's all in one course. But he charges, I think Michael charges also in the five to $10,000 range, you know. But the point is that you got to charge a minimum $500. They have to have skin in the game. They have
Right.
to know if they're, and when you're doing
Hmm.
hypnosis with somebody, you're setting them up to succeed. So you're at the end, after the session, still within the session, but at the end, you're taking them through um, future circumstances. And, how do you feel when you walk into some place where you normally would smoke? Like for me and a
Right.
lot of my friends, you can still smoke in the veteran service organizations. That's one of the things we loved about it.
Mhm.
When I joined 13 years ago, I was smoking, and you you go in, and it has a lounge, a bar, and you could just sit there and smoke to your heart's content. It's very difficult. Veterans smoke at a rate double the national average. Some active duty military and veterans smoke it 3 times, like Marines
Yeah.
smoke
Mm.
3 times the national average. You know,
Wow.
the national average has come way down, but it's still up there for the veterans, and it's hard to quit when you walk
Yeah.
and everybody's smoking. At least everybody else, for everyone else, places they're going, public places, you have to go outside.
Yeah.
You know, in today's, so you're going to take them through some scenarios because you want to make sure. But still, once they get out there and they walk in there, and a friend of theirs, not knowing, offers them a cigarette, you have to have that psychological component where, oh, wait, that cigarette's going to cost me $500.
Wow.
So that's the difference between doing a $50, $75 hypnosis session to quit smoking with somebody and
Right.
charge 500.
Right.
Uh, a lot of them are up in the 600, 650 to $1,200, $1,300 range now. And what I what I really love about it, though, is that it's the only service within any kind of life coaching or hypnosis. There's phobias, there's losing weight, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Stop smoking is the only one where no matter how much you charge, it does not cost the client anything.
Hmm.
Think about it. They're quitting smoking. That means they're going to spend $250 to $500 a month less
That's true.
because they've stopped smoking. So
Right.
if you're charging $500, a lot of people are paying $300 to $350 on average, some higher than that, $400 or $500 a month on cigarettes and lighters and everything else. And then, and even if you're getting really cheap cigarettes and you don't smoke that much, still you're spending $200, $250 a month. So
Right.
2 months go by, you not smoking, that's $500. You just paid for your session.
Yep.
But the psychological component is still there. I
Yes.
forked out $500. I'm not picking that cigarette up. And, you get a really high percentage of success then when you do that. So now let's, roll this all back into being a tarot reader. And a couple of the topics that I've written down deal with this. Problem clients, how to deal with them, people that don't want to take your advice, things like that. A lot of times, especially if they're popping on the psychic lines for 5 minutes, and then doing another psychic and another psychic, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, or even if they're coming to somebody for $30, they're looking for the answers that they want. They want to be told it's going to be okay. They're going to get what they want. He's going to come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you just don't get the higher quality. You get the problem clients when you're charging 30, $40. You
Right.
gotta be charging $100 or do shorter readings. By the way, that's something else I wrote down. Shorter readings, people don't have the time. People want shorter readings nowadays. They want to get to the point. So do 15, 20-minute readings, but charge at least $3 per minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you do a 20-minute reading, charge at least $60.
Right.
At least double the real cheap ones doing like, $30 and
Can
stuff.
I share?
Absolutely.
I'd love to share something with you guys.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
please.
something so I used to work for the Poli Center, which if you guys don't know about that, I mean that I know Dax
I
knows
remember.
I stopped working for them for a little bit over, what's it, a year and a half now, I think. Excuse me. And we would have these different spiritual programs, right? And when we would have a program, we'd have a higher paying one where they get more things like different rituals that are done for them, or homas, or what they call the fire rituals. In addition, maybe a longer or a more specialized teaching session. And then you have the lower paying ones where they just got the basic teachings, right? And so I was talking to one of the customer service people because we knew each other. And I said, tell me something. Who do you get complaints from? Do you get complaints from the lower level, meaning that it was a lower price, you know, or from the higher price? She said, "Oh, the higher price people are fine." She said, "No, it's always the people that pay the least, and they're always
Mm,
not every single one of them, of course, but
Yeah.
they're just combative. I need someone to answer me right now, and and then
yes.
the other, she
Mhm.
said it's never the people who are paying more. She said they don't complain, not at all, you know.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's amazing. You know, you will have so many problems with the lower price clients. And then if you multiply that, think about it. I have to see, like we said earlier, 10 times the number of clients if I'm charging $30. That means
Yeah,
you
Right.
have 10 times the problems.
that's right.
I'd rather see two clients and make $300 than
Yeah.
than see
And two
10
clients
$30
really
clients.
want to change, like you said. You know, when you have a higher price, and these are people who are going to listen, and they're going to change. They're not going to jump necessarily from, reader to reader to reader, or get whatever they're trying to, what the answer that they're looking for. You don't want to have to spend a lot of time with people who are extremely resistant. That it makes no sense. You don't. That's a lot of energy that you have to put
Yeah.
into that person. So that's a good way to think of it too, in terms of your pricing. Like, do you really want to? Because that's like a battle half the time.
Another thing is
You
it's the same thing you just said, but from the opposite perspective, that now you can invest more time and energy in one particular client versus, 10.
Right.
So you're not
mhm,
splitting your energy.
exactly.
You're able to help them more. So rather than going, oh, I have to help everybody and I have to help a lot of people. No, niche down to a
Yes.
particular specialty and raise your prices way up. Then you get the higher quality clients, less of the tire kickers, less of the people complaining, and you're really, really helping somebody because you're solving a problem. If I'm just doing tarot reading in the sense of fortune telling,
Hmm.
it becomes a commodity.
Yeah.
What you want, and you're not really helping people. What you can help more people in a more powerful way by niching down. I know people go, well, I don't want to only see clients on a certain topic.
Hmm.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Right.
You're going to be able to charge more. You're going to be able to help them more. And, just
Yes.
figure out something. Maybe you're the go-to romance reader. I help reconnect past loves, or, help you find your twin flame, or
Yeah. Yeah.
there's medical intuitives. There's people that only work with entrepreneurs in business, and you're helping people with their business using tarot. And as I always say, add to your tool belt. So besides tarot, you want to have a bunch of other tools in your tool belt, like life coaching techniques,
Hmm.
hypnosis, NLP, conversational hypnosis, emotional freedom techniques. Imagine you're doing a reading with somebody and something, by the way, you should always have a box of tissues if you're in person with them, because, things come up. And if they get emotionally upset, you're able to key in on the emotion, have them talk about it, get them to give you, on a scale of 1 to 10, what they're feeling and where, at
Hmm.
what level. Is it a 3? Is it a 9? And then you can take them through rounds of tapping, and you can, boom, just clear it
Well,
out for them,
huh.
So
And
you want,
that
and you can charge more because you have these techniques. Yeah, Michelle.
that saying, you really want to help people who want to help themselves.
Right.
And that's exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for the people that
Mhm.
really want to improve and help themselves, because they're the ones that are not, they're not in it for the money. That's why they're willing to pay so much. They're in it to gain what they need.
And
So
Dan
yeah.
says in the chat, higher paying clients are more willing to accept the truth for what it is.
Hmm.
That's right.
Yep.
Exactly.
And you can give them alternatives. You can say, okay, if it looks like you're getting some of that pushback, you can always look at the cards, and it doesn't matter what you have down there, folks. Just look at the cards and go, okay, I'm seeing three different paths. You can do
Mm.
this one, you can do this one, or you can do this one, and then just end the session and
I
let
see a
them.
new. I see another course that could be possibly done, or topic, from something like. I'm not really great with titles, but Dax, you're like excellent with titles. So I would say something like, I don't know, from fortune telling to life coaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of people come to it, and that's just our general understanding in the public, that tarot readings are like fortune tellers. You have this
Mhm.
lady with all this exotic,
Yeah.
scars and rings, and, oh, come here. Yes, I knew you would come, and, give me $1 and I'll tell you your future, kind of thing. But
Right.
Yeah.
what you're talking about, and what we're all talking about, is the life coaching part. Like, how do you go from just telling fortunes? Hey, if you want to go to the fair and do it for free, and or whatever, low cost for fun, that's cool. But then there's also the life coaching, like,
Mhm.
doing tarot as a business, whether part-time or full-time. Then you need to start expanding upon what you're doing. That's why you're saying all the other modalities. There are other
Hmm.
that people can add to it.
Real quick, hi to Sherry in the chat. Diamond came in and drops a Jupiter. And if you have a question or want to request a message from the universe, just pop it in the chat. I see a few of them. We'll get to that in just a minute. Going to finish up our conversation. See, we had no topic and we created one.
I know.
Yeah. But Dr. Rose, I'm glad that you brought that up, because it reminded me that where I wanted to go with this is I wanted to bring up about that you can position yourself so that you're not doing the fortune telling readings. So
Right.
when you put content out on YouTube and Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels and Instagram itself, and however you promote and all that kind of thing, maybe you have a newsletter you send out and all, you can talk about what it is, different aspects of the big problem you solve for people.
Hmm.
you know so if you're the romance reader, you can do a lot of cool things around February, around Valentine's Day, right? and,
Right.
really hype it up during that, but any time of the year, you could be talking about, you can bring on past clients that are willing to tell their story and how you help them get whatever goal it was. You can do a lot of um, testimonials like that, and
Right.
then break the topic up and the different aspects of what you do with a client. Break it up into little 5 to 8 minute, 10-15 minute videos that you put out there, and of course you take those YouTube videos and you embed them on your website. And so when people learn about you, or when you send them to your YouTube channel, your Instagram, your own website,
Hmm.
they start to get the idea, and then you're pre-selling them, because you are showing the testimonials. If you don't have testimonials, hey, go out and do your thing and help a bunch of people and get some testimonials. And then you are uh, preparing them. They're seeing how you work with clients. they will intuitively realize that, okay, they're not a fortune teller.
Mhm.
They're a life coach, and I have this problem, and they're going to solve that problem for me,
Right.
or help me solve that problem is a better way to put it. And you can give people direction and coach them on any aspect of their life, with tarot and life coaching skill. For 20 years of the Tarot Guild, we have been up till more recently, it was, Dr. Steve's life coaching course, because it was such a great value,
Mhm.
and it's unfortunately, I don't have an affiliate code for it anymore. So I haven't been promoting it, and we need to create our own life coaching course, really,
Yes, I agree.
and bring people from kind of, we have my tarot course, tarot numerology course, and things like that. But take the guild is supposed to be for professionals. We should get more away from that and more helping people with their business, and then going from a fortune teller to, transmuting. I can't think of the right word that I want to use, coming out of the cocoon as a spiritual life coach
Yes,
that just
yes,
happens to use tarot, along with the life coaching techniques and other techniques from NLP and hypnosis that we can throw in there. And then you can charge more, you can see less clients, give them more value, and you can do it professionally full time. It can be done. I know lots of people that have done it. Certified Tarot Grandmaster Christiana Gaudet is a great example.
yes.
She is a full-time professional reader, and
Mhm.
she reads it, traditional way. Not all of us can do that. And, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of competition. There are tons of people on YouTube. I've seen channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and all they're doing is, top down camera and just throwing cards down,
Yes. Yep.
and they have a different they do their nails differently each week, and
Yeah.
they're mostly women, so
Right.
cuts
I
out us
mean,
guys right there.
I can't.
And and they, I'm sure, when they book a reading and they charge, $50 or whatever they're charging, they're doing more fortune telling type readings.
I've seen it for people in
Yeah,
astrology too, where they do
Yeah.
there's some really interesting things that people do, in their astrology business, or sometimes they
Yeah.
connect the tarot with astrology. Oh,
Oh
here's
yeah,
a
yeah.
reading for Cancers or this month or for
yes,
whatever it is. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But from a business standpoint, somebody new coming in,
Mm.
to build up your channel on YouTube or your Instagram account. I mean, some people go viral, but that's 2%, 1%. It takes time and effort and content, putting out content, and being very, um, what's the word for it? Regimented about it. I post every Monday,
Consistent.
Wednesday, Friday, what's the word for it,
consistent.
Rose?
Yeah,
Consistent. That's what I was
Yeah,
looking for.
consistency is really the key.
Yeah.
it really is.
But to finish this up
Mhm.
is, for most people new, yeah, you can jump on a service and build up your clientele. You can start a YouTube channel, Instagram, whatever, and start putting out consistent content. But that's the hard way. That is the rough work. That is getting the $30 to $50 clients. Hey, Linda
Hi,
joined.
Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
That
Mhm.
Hi.
is that is getting the $50 clients, the $30 clients, having to see hundreds of clients
Mhm.
make the same amount of money. The smart way is to get that niche, however you want to pronounce it.
Mhm.
What is the big problem I'm solving for my clients?
Mhm.
And all the content you put out, everything you do is talking about some aspect of that issue or thing, that you're working on them with. or problem you're solving for them. And then you don't have to wait a year, 2 years to build up the clientele to get enough clients to make a living. You
Right.
only need to get a few clients,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you're able to make the same amount of money you would with 10 clients. And you get higher quality clients, and
Right.
you don't get the complaints that you
Right.
do, you know. So there you go. I was going to do that as a topic, but on another show or as a standalone video. But thanks for getting us into
Yeah.
that, Rose.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I'd like to
absolutely.
say just one thing. I'm giving you guys a
Yeah.
hint of what's coming up in the near future. So what I've been doing during my time away from the Psychic Cafe is working on, I'm a social media strategist.
Mhm.
And I know a lot about
Mm.
social media and helping people find their target audience and, strategies for their channels and whatnot. And I, probably within the past year or so, I started to narrow down in a niche, which is spiritual entrepreneurs. So I actually do have another YouTube channel where I'll be talking about and specifically helping to guide people towards, okay, what can you do to build your presence on social media, and being very specific, like, and how do you attract more followers, especially tarot readers is an area that I want to help people with. Spiritual life coaches is another one. I'm thinking even crystal sellers, but I'm not quite sure about that.
Mm.
That's a
Oh, we have to
possible
tell
third.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've already
So
got me on two of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So just, stay tuned, everybody. I'll let folks know. And
Yes,
then
please.
I will be putting
Right.
content out there, in bits and pieces, sometimes longer videos on my YouTube channel so that you
Yep.
guys know, what you can do and what it might look like and things of that nature. So, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a great resource for the Tarot Guild and our members. And we're going to be doing a lot more of this business related content.
Mhm.
And we'll definitely have you on multiple times to talk about that. Do like discussions, little mini workshops, on say different aspects of social media and such. That'll be a lot of fun and very
Ah,
informative,
Yeah.
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 helpful for our members. So I think her shows up as Coach Shakti, but it's Dr. Rose. And she was on the Wednesday show with us. And, it was just a coffee social, no topic like this show. But we broke into a pricing your services topic anyway. And it was great.
Yeah.
So after the show, go watch that in archives. If you're going professional, if you need help with that. In fact, they've just popped in. There's Dan.
Yep.
There's Dr. Rose. Hi,
Hi,
everybody.
everyone.
Yes, I'm Dr. Rose. Shakti. Yeah.
About pricing mostly is what the market will bear in your area.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest part of it.
Yeah. Well, that's what we used to say, 20, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Before we went online, and we were just doing the Tarot Guild in San Diego, and that's how you price your services basically.
Yeah.
Typically, what is a massage therapist charging? What is a counselor charging per
Yeah.
hour? But the world's completely changed now. 95% of us are doing our readings just like this through YouTube. So it does not matter if you are in Podunk, Iowa, and the local massage therapist charged $50. You don't have to charge $50 because your clients are from New York, Berlin, LA, Sydney. And what you do is you charge the going rate internationally, which has gone up 3 times in the last 2 decades. It was about $1 a minute when I started out. So like 60
Yeah.
bucks, $60 for an hour. And then it went up to $2 an hour or $2 a minute. So about 100, was that 120?
120.
Yeah. And also what happened, and I just noticed that I forgot to set my screen. So let me do that real quick. Sorry, folks. Behind the scenes stuff that you're supposed to do before the show. The other thing is that people's attention span over the last 20 years has gone down. They don't have the time. They don't, a lot of people don't want to sit with you for 60 minutes anymore, for an hour. So most people have gone to 20-minute readings, 30-minute readings, 40 minutes tops. And we were talking like in this, like a half hour be like the $60 range. Well, now the going rate is $3 a minute. And if you're charging less than $3 per minute, you're undercharging. And like, let me just get my calculator going here. So like 20 minutes would be $60. Okay. So if you're doing a 30-minute reading, you should be charging about $90. And most people are not doing hour readings anymore. Some people, and usually what I do is I set up a 20-minute reading, and typically I can answer anything they want in 20 minutes, and that's a long time. Think about it. We spend 2 or 3 minutes with each question here in the chat, here on the shows, so you can pull a lot of cards in 20 minutes. Now, then you can always go, if you would like to extend it, at the end. We talked about that when we were talking about pricing your services, about, putting your watch on and or your phone and setting a timer to count down. And when it goes off, it's like, okay, that's our time. If you want to extend it further, but typically I find, got 20 minutes, a half hour, and I mean, you're pretty much able to get through most things. And we talked a lot about undercharging, and really all it does is it hurts the industry and everybody else. And also what it does is, honestly, people just, they see it as a parlor trick rather than a professional service then. So the cheaper you go, the less they're going to pay attention to you. They're going to listen to your advice. Also, the cheaper you go, the worse your clients are going to be. The people, the people that are, coming to you for a $30 or $40 or even a $50 reading, it's a novelty to them. It's not like they're going to their therapist. You got to be charging enough, and I always give the example, as a hypnotherapist, put on my hypnotherapist hat for a second. When I was going through training, and especially when we were talking about quitting smoking services, is you've got to charge a lot. You've got to charge bare minimum $500. And the reason is, then when they go out in the live there and they go and they see their friends and their friend offers them a cigarette, that cigarette's going to cost you $500. And so it's a psychological trick to help you, keep all, keep being a non-smoker, is the idea. I know people that charge upwards to $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, some even more. I mean, there's one fella I know in Australia that his niche is stop smoking, but his sub niche is lawyers. So his whole thing is, I will help you quit smoking on your lunch hour between sessions, at the my mind's blanking here, at the courthouse. On your lunch break, 45 minutes, you will quit smoking. And he only sees lawyers, and it's $3,000. And guess what? They pay it, because $3,000 to them is like $300 to us.
It's like an hour.
Yeah. That's another thing too, that we didn't talk a lot about in the pricing your services thing that we did on the Wednesday when Dr. Rose was on with us, is, we didn't really talk about one thing that a lot of we did talk a little bit about, is it okay to charge for spiritual services?
Oh yeah.
And I always say, yeah, you're charging for your time and your expertise. You're not charging for the service. You could just put it that way in your head, if that helps, But yeah, you don't tell the plumber to come over and fix your pipes and then go, well, I'm going to give you a small donation, or I'm not paying you because you're a plumber. You would
Well,
never
look
say
at
that.
what you do when you go to a church, okay?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the sermon, they pass around a collection plate,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And I mean, it's free to go, but you are obligated, technically, untechnically, to donate. I think it used to be a tenth of your earnings, and now somebody said now it's like 25%. And I
Mm-hmm.
went, that's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but that's me. Um, so I mean, whatever service you're providing, and don't blow it off. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's people I know who actually will book and then try to pull a no-show. Well, I always get a phone number and I always get a credit card.
Yep.
Because if you're going to blow it off, I will find a way to charge you and you will pay it. And they've gotten over that over the years. Like, okay, well, I heard that yeah, I am. I'm very strict because it's my
Mm-hmm.
time. You're paying for my time. And if I don't value my time, how can you value it? So there's that. And as an artist, I mean, I don't know how many, I've heard so many people say, oh, well, it's so easy for you. Could you just whip this up for me? Well, yeah, but this is what it's going to cost. Oh, well, it's a gift. Are you charging for a gift? No, I'm charging for my time.
Yeah, time. That's what it
Seriously, it's
all.
that
But it's
simple.
not just time. You gotta see, the problem with a lot of professional readers and psychic advisors and so forth is they don't look at it as a business,
No.
and they don't take in account all the money they've spent on decks, books, courses, your membership in the Tarot Guild, your
Travel.
certifications in the Tarot Guild, things like that. But this is the point I was getting to, is that I didn't want to rehash the whole, should you charge for your services? What we didn't talk about that Wednesday that we talked about, I think it was last Wednesday, but it might have been the Wednesday before, when we talked about pricing your services, Dr. Rose was on and all. We forgot to mention about helping everyone.
Yeah.
A lot of spiritual people, a lot of people doing spiritual services, they feel like, well, I got to help everyone. And so I'm going to price my services low so that even, the less fortunate can afford my $40 reading. You do not have to look at it that way, because guess what? There are dozens out there already doing that. Instead, go the other direction. You do not have to help everyone. In fact, it's better if you pick a niche and an avatar. An avatar just means a representation of who's your client, male, female, 40 to 65, get really specific. They make $100,000 a year, $150,000 a year, and they're females between 35 and 65. And there you go. There's my avatar. And then you're going to pick a niche. Doesn't mean you can't take readings for other things, but become the expert. So on your YouTube channel, in your blog posts, on your social media, everything you post about is about whatever it is. So if you are the finance reader, everything is about different things about finances and so forth. And by the way, if you need to consult, here's my link, kind of thing. And you're aiming it at a specific niche, and don't worry that you're charging what amounts to 150. Actually, it's 60 times 3. It's 180 an hour now. Not that we go we go a full hour. But if you're going to go a full hour, it would be $180. So that is not much different than what a counselor or a consultant, a business consultant is going to charge more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's even better if you're solving a specific problem for them, because then you sell it as a package. Maybe you do 3 or 4 sessions with them, and you might do readings, but you might do other modalities. Remember, we talked about that, getting your life coaching certification, hypnosis, NLP, EFT, numerology, astrology. You can get all these different modalities, and then you're not the tarot reader. You are the coach or business consultant that helps them with problem X, or the romance person, that helps them reconnecting twin flames, or however you want to word it. Okay, now it's a package, and now you're charging even higher. Now you're charging in the $500 range for this package, and you're going to meet with them 3 times or something along those lines. And I know that people are going to go, oh, but I feel like I need to help everyone, and if I charge $150, $180 an hour, even $60 for a 20-minute reading, not everybody's going to be able to afford that. That's right. They're not.
Whoops.
Yes, you can't serve everybody, and you should even be trying to serve everybody. Serve your niche and solve a big problem if you can. What's a big problem for your niche? And people don't come to you because necessarily because you're a reader, astrologer, numerologist, Reiki master, whatever it is. They come to you because Michelle can solve my problem, and they're willing to pay more for that. And the people that can afford it can afford it. And that's your avatar. That's who you're going for.
Exactly.
They have the discretionary funds. They're making 80,000, 100, 150,000 a year or more.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's the thing that we missed in the last time we talked about this. And I wanted to try to get that across to people, that you don't have to serve everyone. In fact, it's better if you don't. It's better if you have a niche and go for the higher end, slowly increase what you're charging for. Oh, a lot of people always ask me, how do I know if I'm charging too much or what have you? The way to look at it is, especially we're talking about helping somebody in a niche with a specific problem, mostly, not just general fortune telling type tarot reading. If you start getting a lot of clients, increase your price, and then the number of clients will come down. And if it starts going up again, increase your price. That's another beautiful thing about it. Just as an example, hey, let's talk about a 6-digit tarot business, $100,000 a year. I know a lot of people, that's beyond, they can't even think about that, right? But I'm going to use my little handy dandy calculator on my phone here. $100,000 divided by 12 months in the year, $8,333. Okay, let's divide that by $40. You have to see 208 clients a month. I mean, if you divide that by 4.25 weeks in a month, that's 50 a week you have to see. Okay. Let's say instead that same $8,000 and $333 to make 100 for a month. Let's divide that by a package deal you're selling that's $395. Now you need 21 clients. 21 instead of 208. And adjunct to this, what does that also mean? If you're seeing 200 and over 200 clients a month, you cannot put the time and energy into each client. Not like when you only have 21 clients. So that's another aspect of it to think about. And a lot of, especially spiritual services, numerologists, angel practitioners, tarot readers. Did I say astrologers? Astrologers. They don't think this way. They don't think it all the way through. It's like, Jane down the street is charging $45, so I'm going to charge $45. You got to think it through. You're going to be exhausted trying to make enough money to live on, even if you don't need $8,000 a month to live on. Even if it's, 2 or 3 or 4,000, you're still going to need to see a lot of people, between 50 and 100 clients. That's a lot. Your energy is going to be spent. You're not going to be able to do them a good service. You're going to be so busy seeing, 10 clients a day. If you can do that, that's another thing. Each month, then you've got to find another 200 clients each month at $40 a reading, so you can reach $100,000. That's typically in business what people, the first goal is to hit 6 digits, and then after that, snowball it and grow it, expand. I forget what they call it. Not expand. It's can't remember the word for it in business when you grow the business, but basically, you know what I mean. And that might not be your goal. That's fine. But still, even at lower levels, trying to find, say, 50 to 100 clients every single month, you need a new group of people. Okay. So by charging more, you can see less clients. You can help them a lot better because you're able to focus on one client at a time for a longer length of time and really help them. You can see them 3 times instead of once for 20 minutes. You can do longer sessions and see them 2 or 3 times. And you don't need to find as many clients each month. You only need to find 20. Yep. So that's a big part of it. The other way that, and again, it's stuff that professional tarot readers never think about. Other streams of income, there's the books and the decks and the things that people typically think of. What they don't typically think of is how can, instead of 1-to-1, how can you do 1-to-many? So can you have group sessions, which you charge a little less than your hourly rate, but you're seeing 10 people in a group for, let's say, what's 10 times 20? Yeah. Well, let's just say a couple hours. Let's say a couple hours. You're seeing, do a group session, charge them a little less than you would individually, and you are whatever big problem is you solve, you do a presentation, you talk about that problem, and then you can pull cards for each person or do readings for each person ahead of time and then just give it to them in an email. But they still get that live interaction with you, and you can pull additional cards, I guess. It depends on what your modality is, if you're solving, so it's the difference between, like, as a hypnotherapist, seeing one-on-one clients to help them quit smoking versus a quit smoking clinic, and there might be 50 people in that clinic. And, the other thing is when you start thinking like that, you can still see one-on-one clients. Which also, by the way, when you're doing these group sessions, you only have to do them maybe once a week. So you do your group session on Saturdays, and that covers everything. That covers all your expenses. You are then, because you're going to make so much because of all the individuals. And then when you do individual sessions, raise your price. Raise your price even more, because now you're mostly doing group sessions. And when you do an individual set, like I have some colleagues in hypnotherapy where they're doing hypnotherapy and they started teaching how to be a hypnotherapist to people. They started teaching courses, live courses, and so forth. And it was a little side thing. But after a while, they were making so much money doing these weekend courses, and sometimes it'd be a week-long course, and it would be, they'd only do it once in a quarter or once every other month or every 3 months or something like that. They made so much money off that they didn't need to see individual clients again. So what they did do is they would still see individual clients, but they raised their rates, $5,000 a session, $10,000 a session. And yeah, there was, handful of people that paid for that. But they're making their money off of the one to many versus the one to one. And so there's some things to think about, even as a tarot reader, because you can do group sessions and you can teach courses, write books, publish decks. That's how you get multiple streams of income.